The human delegation spent hours studying the Confederation's terms. Hyun-Woo Choi, Earth's economic advisor, noticed troubling patterns in the trade agreements. "They want almost unlimited access to our minerals and water," he said, pointing to a section of the document. "In return, they offer technology that they control and can take away at any time." Hyun-Woo had a special gift, a photographic memory. He could remember every number and detail from documents he read just once. This ability had made him valuable on Earth. Here, among aliens who thought humans were simple, it was their secret weapon. Security Chief Yoon-ji Kang swept their quarters for listening devices. She found 3 hidden in the walls and 1 in each of their communication devices. "They're watching us closely," she said after disabling the devices. "I don't think they expected us to find these." Before coming to Nexus Station, Yoon-ji had been a Special Forces commander. Her quiet strength gave the delegation confidence. If things went wrong, she would find a way to protect them. Admiral Ji-ho waited for a response from Earth about Project SHIELD. While waiting, he decided to learn more about the Confederation. "Dr. Park, can you access their historical records? I want to know how they've treated other new species." Suman nodded. "I found a public database terminal in the common area. I'll see what I can discover." Captain Tae-Wan had been making friends with the station's maintenance workers. "The service species are treated poorly," he reported. "One worker told me his people have been new members for 300 years, but they're still not allowed to attend council meetings." "So the promise of advancement is a lie," said Ji-ho. Suman returned with troubling information. "I found records of 23 species that joined in the last 1,000 years. All of them provided resources and labor to the Confederation. None have representatives on the High Council." "What happens if a species refuses to join?" asked Yoon-ji. "I couldn't find any record of that happening," said Sumin. "Either no one refuses or those records are kept secret." That evening they met Trade Minister Dahl, a 6-limbed alien with bright orange skin. Dahl was responsible for resource allocation among member worlds. "You must be pleased with our generous terms," said Dahl. "Most developing species would give anything for such an opportunity." Hyun-Woo smiled politely. "We noticed that Earth would provide 15 essential minerals to the Confederation, but receive technology in return that requires those same minerals to operate." Dahl's skin darkened slightly. "All new members contribute before they consume. It is the natural order." "Natural for whom?" asked Hyun-Woo quietly. Dahl ignored the question. "Tomorrow you will meet General Bach. He oversees security for new member worlds." After Dahl left, Yoon-ji said, "I don't like the sound of this General Bach. Security usually means control." Later that night, Captain Tae-Wan received the response from Earth. He brought it immediately to Admiral Ji-ho's room. "Project SHIELD is ahead of schedule," Tae-Wan reported. "They've also analyzed the scout ships and found something interesting." "What?" asked Ji-ho. "The ships have advanced weapons, but their defensive systems have weaknesses. Earth scientists think they could disable them if necessary." Ji-ho nodded slowly. "That's good news." "What else?" "Earth's governments have united in response to the Confederation threat. They've agreed that we should gather more information before making any decisions." "And the special request I made?" Tae-Wan smiled. "The hidden fleet is ready. They're waiting for your signal." Early the next morning they met General Bach, a massive, reptilian being with scarred armor and cold eyes. "Humans have strong bodies and a warrior spirit," said Bach, looking them over like a farmer evaluating livestock. "You will make excellent frontline soldiers in our peacekeeping forces." Ji-ho kept his expression neutral, though inside he felt anger rising. "I wasn't aware military service was part of the membership requirements, and all new species contribute according to their strength," said Bach. "Your people are physically capable and reproduce quickly. These are valuable traits for our security operations." "And where would these operations take place?" asked Yoon-ji. "Wherever the Confederation requires," said Bach dismissively. "The terms grant us authority to recruit as needed." After Bach left, the delegation gathered to discuss what they had learned. "They want our resources, our labor, and now our people as soldiers," said Ji-ho grimly. "This isn't membership. It's exploitation. Should we refuse?" asked Suman. "Not yet," said Ji-ho. "First, I want to meet someone who can tell us more about how this Confederation really works." Through Captain Tae-Wan's contacts among the maintenance staff, They learned of Elder Zix, one of the oldest members of the Confederation. Zix belonged to a species that had joined the Alliance thousands of years ago, when it was first formed. Finding Elder Zix wasn't easy. The ancient alien lived in a quiet section of the station rarely visited by officials. When they finally located him, they found a small, frail being with pale blue skin and large, wise eyes. "Humans," said Zix in a whispery voice. "I wondered when you would seek me out." "You were expecting us?" asked Jiho, surprised. "I watch all new species that come here. Most accept their place without question. You're different." The human sat with Elder Zix in his simple living space. Unlike the grand chambers of the High Council, this room felt honest and welcoming. "The Confederation was not always as you see it now," said Zix. "Once, it was truly a union of equals, formed for mutual protection and advancement." "What changed?" asked Sumin. "Success breeds corruption. As we grew powerful, the founding species began to see themselves as superior. New members were viewed not as partners, but as resources to be used." "Has any species ever refused membership?" asked Jiho. Zix's large eyes seemed to look into the distant past. "3 times in our history. The first was destroyed as an example to others. The second was blockaded until they surrendered. The third, they simply disappeared. Their world was later claimed for resources." Jiho felt a chill. "And if Earth refuses?" "I cannot say. But the Confederation does not take rejection well." Zix leaned forward. "Yet there is something about your kind that is different. I sense in you a strength the others do not see." As they left Elder Zix, the delegation felt the weight of their situation. The Confederation was not what it claimed to be, and refusing might put Earth in danger. That night, they received alarming news from home. More Confederation scout ships had appeared, and they were scanning Earth's military installations. "They're preparing for resistance," said Yunji. "They must know we're having doubts about their terms." Jiho made his decision. "Tomorrow at the council meeting, we'll appear ready to negotiate better terms. Meanwhile, Captain Taiwan, prepare the ship for quick departure. We may need to leave suddenly." "What about the Confederation ships near Earth?" asked Sumin. "Let's give them something else to worry about," said Jiho with a small smile. The next day, the human delegation entered the High Council chamber. High Chancellor Vex and the other council members watched them with the confident expectation that these primitive humans would accept their place. "Have you reviewed our generous terms?" asked Vex. "We have," said Jiho, stepping forward. "And we have some questions before we can proceed." Vex seemed surprised. "Questions?" "The terms are standard for all new members." "That's our first concern," said Jiho. "Earth is unique, as is every world. Standard terms seem inadequate." Murmurs spread through the council chamber. New species didn't usually question the terms. "We are particularly concerned about the resource extraction rights," continued Jiho. "The terms grant the Confederation unlimited access to Earth's minerals, water, and biological materials." Trade Minister Dahl stepped forward. "All members contribute to the greater good." "And what exactly do we receive in return?" asked Hyunwoo. "The technology you offer requires resources that you would control. We would be dependent on you forever." General Bach growled. "You speak as if you have a choice, human." The chamber went silent. It was the first open admission that the negotiations weren't truly voluntary. Jiho looked directly at High Chancellor Vex. "We always have a choice. Earth came here in good faith to discuss mutual cooperation. Instead, we've found that the Confederation sees us merely as a resource to exploit." Vex's silver skin seemed to darken. "You misunderstand your position. The Confederation offers protection in a dangerous galaxy. Without us, Earth would be vulnerable to many threats." "Interesting," said Jiho coolly. "We've existed for thousands of years without encountering these threats. They seem to appear only when we refuse your terms." The council members shifted uncomfortably. Other species representatives watched with growing interest. This was not how new member negotiations usually proceeded. "Perhaps," said Vex in a careful tone, "we can adjust some terms to better suit Earth's unique situation." "We would need to see significant changes," said Jiho. "Equal exchange of resources, no forced military service, and full voting rights in the council from the beginning." Laughter erupted from several council members. General Bach stepped forward, looming over the human delegation. "No new species has ever received such privileges," he said. "You overreach, humans." Then perhaps membership is not right for Earth at this time, said Ji-ho calmly. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. Fex raised a hand for silence. Consider carefully, Admiral. The message came on a Tuesday morning. All around the world, screens lit up with the same image, a sleek silver ship hanging above Earth. Humanity had long wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. Admiral Ji-ho Kim was having breakfast when his phone rang. The call came from the highest level of government. Admiral, we need you at headquarters now, said the voice on the other end. First contact has been made. Ji-ho put down his coffee mug. After 30 years in Earth's Space Navy, he thought nothing could surprise him anymore. He was wrong. When he arrived at the command center in Seoul, the room buzzed with activity. Scientists, military officers, and government officials crowded around screens showing the alien ship. What do we know? Ji-ho asked as he entered. Defense Minister Sang Hoon stood up. The ship appeared in our orbit 2 hours ago. They've sent a message in 37 different languages, including Korean, English, and Mandarin. They call themselves the Galactic Confederation. Dr. Sumin Park, Earth's top xenolinguist, stepped forward. She had spent years studying potential alien communication patterns. Now she could finally use that knowledge. The message is simple, she said. They want to talk. They've invited us to send representatives to discuss Earth joining their confederation. Captain Taewon Lee, commander of Earth's newest space vessel, joined them. Do we trust them? We don't have much choice, said Ji-ho. Their technology is clearly far beyond ours. If they wanted to harm us, they could have done so already. Earth's governments quickly formed a delegation. Admiral Ji-ho Kim would lead it. Dr. Sumin Park would handle communications. Captain Taewon Lee would pilot Earth's ship, the ESS Horizon, for the journey. 1 week later, the ESS Horizon prepared for its first interstellar journey. The alien ship had provided coordinates and technology to make the trip possible. As Ji-ho boarded the ship, he felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Humanity's future might depend on these talks. Ready, Admiral? Asked Taewon as Ji-ho entered the bridge. As ready as anyone can be to meet aliens, Ji-ho replied with a small smile. The journey took 3 days using the new technology. Dr. Park spent the time studying the Confederation's languages and customs from the information they had shared. On the evening before arrival, she came to Ji-ho with concerns. Admiral, I've noticed something in their language patterns, she said, showing him her tablet. The way they speak about us. It's subtle, but they use terms normally reserved for lesser beings. Ji-ho frowned. You think they see us as inferior? I think they see us as very young and primitive. Their confederation is thousands of years old. To them we might be like children. Or like pets, Ji-ho said quietly. We'll need to be careful. The next morning, the ESS Horizon arrived at its destination, a massive space station floating at the edge of a distant star system. The station looked like a metal flower with dozens of petals spreading outward. Ships of various shapes and sizes moved around it. Welcome to Nexus Station, came a voice over the communication system. Please dock at Bay 17. Captain Taewon guided the ship to the designated area. Through the viewports, the crew could see aliens for the first time. Some had 4 arms. Others floated rather than walked. One species looked like tall blue humanoids with 4 eyes. As the Earth delegation prepared to disembark, Ji-ho gave final instructions. Remember, we represent all of humanity. Be respectful but also watchful. We're here as equals, not as subjects. The airlock opened and they stepped onto the station. The air smelled different, not bad but strange, with hints of unknown spices and materials. A tall blue alien approached them. Welcome to Nexus Station. I am Delegate Rax, your guide during these talks. The Confederation is pleased to welcome humans to our community, Dr. Park translated, though most of the delegation wore devices that helped them understand the alien language. We are honored to be here, Ji-ho replied. Earth looks forward to learning about the Confederation. Rax led them through wide corridors filled with different alien species. Some stared openly at the humans. Others seemed to avoid looking at them. You will meet the High Council tomorrow, said Rax. Tonight, you can rest in your quarters and adjust to the station's cycle. Their rooms were comfortable enough, though designed for beings different from humans. The beds were too long and the chairs too wide. After Rax left, Ji-ho called his team together. Thoughts? He asked. They're treating us like VIPs, said Captain Taewon. But something feels off. Dr. Park nodded. I've been listening to their discussions when they think we can't understand. They keep using a word that roughly translates to potential resource. Resource? Jiho frowned. Not partners or allies? No, said Sumin. And I've noticed something else. When they showed us the station map, they marked areas we're not allowed to enter. Those areas make up about 80% of the station. Jiho walked to the window, looking out at the vast expanse of space and the alien ships moving past. We need more information before tomorrow's meeting. Later that night, Dr. Park intercepted a message between Rax and someone called High Chancellor Vex. She brought the translation to Jiho immediately. The integration terms are prepared, Rax had said. The humans will not refuse. No primitive species ever has. Jiho read the message twice, so they've already decided the terms without any input from us. It gets worse, said Dr. Park. I found a database entry about Earth. They've been watching us for decades. They call us aggressive but useful and good physical laborers. Captain Taewon joined them, his face grim. I spoke with one of the maintenance workers, a green, six-armed being. He said new species always start at the bottom of the Confederation hierarchy. Most never advance beyond servile roles. Jiho sat down heavily. So this isn't an invitation to join as equals. It's an absorption. Should we leave? Asked Taewon. Jiho thought for a moment. No, not yet. Let's hear their terms first. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with. Dr. Park looked worried. What if they don't let us leave? They invited us here under the pretense of peaceful negotiations, said Jiho. If they try to force us to stay, they'll reveal their true intentions not just to us, but to all the other species watching. The next morning, as they prepared to meet the High Council, Jiho received an urgent message from Earth. Confederation scout ships had been detected in Earth's atmosphere, scanning the planet's surface without permission. So while they negotiate with us here, they're already moving on Earth, Jiho said grimly. What do we do? Asked Taewon. Jiho straightened his uniform. We listen to their terms. We smile, we act grateful, and we gather every bit of information we can. The High Council chamber was enormous, with tiered seating surrounding a central platform. Delegates from dozens of species watched as the humans were led to the center. High Chancellor Vex, a tall being with silver skin and no visible mouth, greeted them. Humans of Earth, we welcome you to the Great Galactic Confederation. For 10,000 cycles, we have brought peace and progress to this galaxy. Today you take your first step toward joining our grand community. As Vex spoke, Jiho noticed how the other council members looked at the humans, not with respect or curiosity, but with the cool assessment of farmers evaluating new livestock. We offer you protection, technology, and guidance, continued Vex. In return, we ask only for your cooperation and contribution to our shared future. Jiho stepped forward, bowing slightly. The people of Earth are honored by your invitation. We look forward to learning the specific terms of membership. Vex gestured, and a holographic document appeared in the air. These are the standard terms for developing worlds. Very favorable, I assure you. As Dr. Park reviewed the document, her face remained calm, but Jiho could see tension in her shoulders. Whatever was in those terms, it wasn't good. Thank you, High Chancellor, said Jiho smoothly. We will need time to review these terms properly. Of course, said Vex, though something in their tone suggested they hadn't expected the humans to do more than immediately accept. You have until tomorrow's council session. As they left the chamber, Jiho kept his expression pleasant. Inside, his mind raced with plans. Back in their quarters, Dr. Park finally let her composure slip. Admiral, these terms are basically slavery with a pretty name. They want our resources, our labor, even the right to select humans for special training off-world. And in exchange? Asked Jiho. Protection from threats that probably don't exist and technology that would keep us dependent on them forever, said Taewon bitterly. Jiho looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there was Earth, beautiful, fragile, and now under threat. But perhaps not as helpless as the Confederation believed. Send a coded message home, he told Taewon. Tell them what we've learned. And request information about something specific. What information? Asked Taewon. Jiho smiled slightly. Ask them how Project SHIELD is progressing. I think it's time we showed the Confederation that humans aren't as primitive as they think. The human delegation moved quickly through the corridors of Nexus Station. Other aliens stepped aside, watching with curious eyes as the humans marched with purpose toward their docking bay. Will they try to stop us? Suman asked quietly. Probably, said Yunji, her hand resting near her concealed weapon, but they'll be careful about how they do it. Jiho led the way, his face calm but his mind racing. He had just taken a massive gamble with Earth's future. Walking away from the negotiations was bold, perhaps even reckless. But the alternative was accepting a future of servitude. As they approached the docking bay, a group of armored security officers blocked their path. Their leader, a tall being with 4 arms and crimson skin, stepped forward. The High Council requests your presence for further discussion, he said, his tone making it clear this was not a request. Jiho smiled politely. Please inform the Council that we appreciate their interest, but our decision is final. We're returning to Earth. I'm afraid I must insist, said the security leader, his lower hands moving to the weapons at his sides. Engineer Hajun Park, who had been quiet until now, stepped forward. During their stay, Hajun had spent most of his time studying Confederation technology. The aliens had assumed he was merely a curious primitive, but Hajun was one of Earth's most brilliant minds. Excuse me, he said, holding up a small device, but I believe there's a safety protocol in the station's security systems that you should be aware of. He pressed a button, and suddenly the security officer's weapons powered down with a low whine. The lights in their armor flickered and died. What have you done? Demanded the leader, trying unsuccessfully to reactivate his weapon. Just a small electromagnetic pulse, targeted to affect only Confederation security systems, said Ha-Jun with a slight smile. It's temporary. About 10 minutes, I'd guess. How did you... Your systems haven't been updated in over 300 years, said Ha-Jun. You've relied on the same technology for so long that you've forgotten its vulnerabilities. The security team stood aside, unsure how to proceed without their technology. The human delegation continued to their ship. Captain Taewan had the ESS Horizon ready for departure. As they boarded, Communications Officer Min Ji-yoon met them at the airlock. Admiral, Nexus Station Control is denying our departure clearance, she reported. They've also activated a docking clamp on our ship. Jiho nodded calmly. Ha-Jun, can you do something about that clamp? The engineer grinned. Already done, sir. I reprogrammed it while studying their systems yesterday. It'll release when we're ready. And the departure clearance? Minji smiled. I may have created a small communications issue. Their system thinks they've already cleared us. Jiho looked at his team with pride. While the Confederation had underestimated humans as primitives, his people had been quietly finding weaknesses and preparing for this moment. Captain Taewan, get us out of here, he ordered. Best speed back to Earth. As the ESS Horizon broke free from the docking bay, alarms blared throughout Nexus Station. On the bridge, the humans watched as several Confederation ships began moving to intercept them. They're not going to let us go easily, said Taiwan, his hands steady on the controls. Jiho nodded to Minji. Send the signal. Minji activated a special communication channel. Signal sent, Admiral. For a moment, nothing happened. Then suddenly, space seemed to ripple around them. Where there had been empty void, now there were ships, human ships. Dozens of them, appearing from behind sophisticated cloaking technology. Project Shield, said Jiho with satisfaction. While the Confederation had believed Earth had just one ship capable of interstellar travel, humans had been building a fleet in secret. The ESS Horizon had been sent as bait, carrying a delegation that could assess the true nature of the Confederation, while the hidden fleet waited nearby. On Nexus Station, the Galactic Council watched in shock as human vessels appeared on their scanners. Impossible, muttered General Bach. Their technology shouldn't be this advanced. High Chancellor Vex turned to science. Advisor Lear, an alien xenobiologist who had been studying humans. You said they were a developing species. Lear's tentacles writhed anxiously. All our data suggested they were. But humans, they adapt faster than any species we've encountered. They must have reversed engineered technology from our earlier observations. On the ESS Horizon, Jiho opened a communication channel to Nexus Station. This is Admiral Jiho Kim of Earth. Our fleet will escort us home. Any attempt to interfere will be considered an act of war. The Confederation ships hesitated, caught off guard by the sudden appearance of a human fleet. Taking advantage of their confusion, the Earth ships formed a protective formation around the ESS Horizon and began moving away from the station. They're not pursuing, reported Captain Taewan after several tense minutes. Jiho nodded, but didn't relax. They're regrouping, planning their next move. What do you think they'll do? Asked Sumin. They won't give up easily, said Jiho. The Confederation can't afford to let a species reject them and get away with it. Others might follow our example. As if confirming his words, a message came through from High Chancellor Vex. Admiral Kim, this unfortunate misunderstanding can still be resolved peacefully. The Confederation is prepared to discuss more favorable terms for Earth's membership. Jiho considered the offer. It was tempting, but he had seen the Confederation's true nature. Chancellor Vex, Earth appreciates your offer, but our decision stands. We decline membership at this time. We are open to establishing diplomatic relations between equals in the future. There was a long pause before Vex replied. You may regret this decision, Admiral. The galaxy is dangerous for isolated worlds. Is that a threat, Chancellor? Merely an observation, said Vex smoothly. Safe journey, Admiral Kim. The communication ended. Jiho turned to his team. They'll follow us. They need to know where Earth is. Don't we need to prevent that? Asked Yoonji. On the contrary, said Jiho with a small smile. I want them to follow us. I want them to see what they're dealing with. The journey back to Earth took 3 days. As Jiho had predicted, a small group of Confederation ships followed at a distance, trying to be discreet, but making no real effort to hide their presence. During the journey, the delegation prepared reports on everything they had learned about the Confederation, their technology, their political structure, their true intentions toward Earth. Hajun spent hours with engineering expert Jae-hyuk, analyzing the technological vulnerabilities he had discovered. Their shields have a fluctuation pattern, he explained, showing Jae-hyuk his findings. Every 74 seconds, there's a microsecond where they're weaker. With precise timing, our weapons could penetrate. Hyunwoo and Sumin collaborated on a detailed analysis of the Confederation's economic system. They're parasitic, said Hyunwoo, reviewing the data. They take resources from new members and give back just enough technology to keep them dependent. Like a drug dealer, added Sumin. First taste is free, but then you're hooked forever. As they approached Earth, Jiho gathered the delegation for a final briefing. When we arrive, the real work begins, he told them. Earth must prepare for possible retaliation from the Confederation. But we must also reach out to other species who might feel as we do about their rule. Do you think other species will support us? Asked Minji. Elder Zik suggested there's discontent among many worlds, said Jiho. If we can show them that resistance is possible, we might find allies. The ESS Horizon entered Earth's solar system, the hidden fleet still surrounding it protectively. The Confederation ships following them kept their distance but continued to observe. They're scanning us, reported Captain Taewan, trying to assess our defenses. Let them look, said Jiho. It's time for Phase 2. As they passed the orbit of Mars, something extraordinary happened. Defensive platforms, previously hidden by advanced cloaking technology, appeared around Earth. Hundreds of them, forming a protective shield around the planet. On the surface, massive energy signatures became visible as Earth revealed the full extent of its military capabilities. On the Confederation ships, sensors went wild as they detected the unexpected defenses. Earth wasn't the vulnerable, developing world they had thought. It was armed and ready. Admiral, called Minji from her communication station. We're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's President Jin Ho Kang. The president's face appeared on the main screen. Welcome home, Admiral Kim. I see you brought visitors. Unwelcome ones. Mr. President, replied Jiho. The Confederation didn't take our rejection well. Then perhaps they should see what they're facing, said President Kang. Strategic Commander Yoon-hee Kim, you may proceed on the screen. They saw a woman in a military uniform nod. Yes, Mr. President. Suddenly, from behind Earth's moon, a massive fleet of warships emerged. They had been hidden there, waiting. This wasn't just a defensive force, it was a show of strength, my God, whispered Taewan. How long has Earth been preparing for this? Since we first detected alien observation 20 years ago, said Jiho. We knew first contact would come eventually. We wanted to be ready. The Confederation ships, now faced with Earth's full military might, began to retreat. They had come expecting to find a primitive world they could intimidate. Instead, they found a united planet with unexpected technological capabilities. 1 week after Earth's message was broadcast across the galaxy, the responses began to arrive. President Jin Ho Kang and Admiral Ji Ho Kim sat in the Earth Space Command Center, reviewing the incoming transmissions. The large screen showed representatives from various alien species, each speaking in their own language with translation provided by Dr. Sumin Park's team. "The Teller people hear Earth's call," said a blue-skinned being with 4 eyes. "We have supplied the Confederation with minerals for 3 centuries, yet remain classified as a developing world. We are interested in your alternative." "The Vreen Collective acknowledges Earth's courage," said another alien, this one appearing as a swarm of small glowing insects that formed a humanoid shape. "We have technology to share if genuine partnership is offered." 6 species so far," said President Kang. "More than I expected, but is it enough?" "It's a beginning," replied Ji-ho. "Each one that joins us weakens the Confederation's grip." Diplomat Jae Sung-yoon entered the room with a tablet. An expert in interspecies psychology, he had been analyzing the Confederation's response to Earth's defiance. "They're in disarray," he reported. "Our sources indicate the High Council is split. Some want immediate action against Earth to make an example of us. Others fear such action might push more worlds to our side." "And which faction is winning?" asked the president. "The hardliners led by General Bach and Enforcer Carr, but High Chancellor Vex is being more cautious. They're sending a diplomatic mission first." Ji-ho frowned. "Diplomatic in name only, I suspect." "Almost certainly," agreed Jae-sung. "They'll try to intimidate us into submission before resorting to open conflict." President Kang turned to Defense Minister Do Hyun-bae. "Are we ready if diplomacy fails?" "Our fleet is on high alert," Do Hyun confirmed. "The planetary defense grid is fully operational, and thanks to engineer Ha Jun's discoveries, we've upgraded our shields to counter their weapons technology." Ji-ho studied the tactical display showing Earth's defenses. The planet was as ready as it could be, but he hoped it wouldn't come to war. "There's another transmission coming in," announced Communications Officer Min Ji-yoon. "It's from Elder Zix." The ancient alien's face appeared on the screen, his large eyes blinking slowly. "Humans of Earth," he said in his whispery voice, "your actions have stirred the stars. The Confederation trembles not from fear of your weapons, but from fear of your ideas. Freedom is contagious." "Elder Zix," said Ji-ho, stepping forward, "we're honored by your communication. Does the Confederation know you're contacting us?" "I am old enough to be beyond their censure," replied Zix with something like a smile. "But I must warn you. Confederation diplomat Mez is coming to Earth with words of peace, but Supreme Commander Tul prepares for war. Do not trust their offers. What do you suggest?" asked President Kang. "Continue as you have begun. Reach out to other worlds. Build your alliance. Show the galaxy there is another way." Elder Zix's image flickered. "I must go. Remember, humans, you are not alone in wanting freedom." The transmission ended, leaving the humans with both hope and concern. "If the Confederation attacks Earth, our allies may be too scared to help us," said Do Hyun. "Then we need to show them we can stand against the Confederation," said Ji-ho firmly, "and win." 3 days later, a Confederation diplomatic vessel entered Earth's solar system. It was escorted by 6 warships, a show of force disguised as a security detail. The Confederation delegation requested a meeting on neutral ground. After discussion, Earth agreed to host them at the lunar base, away from the planet but still within the protection of Earth's defense grid. Admiral Ji-ho led the Earth delegation to the moon. With him were Dr. Sumin Park, diplomat Jae Sung-yoon, and Security Chief Yoon Ji-kang. They waited in the lunar base's conference room as the Confederation representatives arrived. Confederation diplomat Mez entered first. He was a tall, slender being with silver skin similar to High Chancellor Vex, but with visible eyes that shimmered like liquid mercury. Behind him came Supreme Commander Tul, a massive creature with armored skin and multiple limbs that ended in what looked like natural weapons. "Earth extends greetings to the representatives of the Galactic Confederation," said Ji-ho formally. "The Confederation acknowledges Earth," replied Mez smoothly. "We come seeking peaceful resolution to our misunderstanding." Ji-ho noticed that Tul remained silent, his eyes scanning the room and the defenses visible through the dome windows. There was no misunderstanding, said Jiho. Earth declined membership under the terms offered. Our position hasn't changed. Mez spread his 4 hands in a gesture of conciliation. Perhaps the terms were inadequate for a world of Earth's unique qualities. The High Council has authorized me to offer new terms. Jae-sung studied the aliens' body language. They're desperate, he whispered to Jiho. Something has them worried. Jiho nodded slightly. We're willing to hear your new proposal, he told Mez. Mez activated a holographic display showing a new agreement. Earth would receive full trading rights from the beginning. Technology transfers would be accelerated, and your military independence would be respected. And in return, asked Jiho, merely an end to your communications with other Confederation worlds, and your public acknowledgement of the Confederation's authority in galactic matters. So that was it. They were most worried about Earth inspiring other worlds to rebel. These terms are more favorable, Jiho acknowledged, but they still place Earth under Confederation authority. We seek alliance, not submission. Supreme Commander Tul finally spoke, his voice a low rumble. You mistake your position, human. The Confederation has existed for 10,000 years. Your civilization is an infant. You need our protection. From whom? Asked Jiho. The only threat we've faced since entering the galactic community has been the Confederation itself. Tul's armored skin darkened with anger, but Mez raised a hand to calm him. Admiral Kim, surely you understand that defying the established order has consequences. Many worlds depend on the stability the Confederation provides. The stability of masters and servants, said Jiho. We've seen how the Confederation treats its members. Earth chooses a different path. And you would lead other worlds down this path? Asked Mez. Creating chaos in the galaxy? We offer an alternative. Whether others take it is their choice. Tul stepped forward, looming over the human delegation. Enough talk. The Confederation's patience has limits. Either accept our authority or face the consequences. Jiho met the commander's gaze steadily. Earth doesn't respond well to threats, Commander Tul. Is that your final answer, Admiral? It is. Earth will not join the Confederation under any terms that compromise our independence. We remain open to forming alliances between equals. Mez sighed, a sound like wind through reeds. Then our mission has failed. We will return to Nexus Station with your decision. As the Confederation representatives turned to leave, Tul paused at the door. Prepare your defenses, Admiral Kim. You will need them. After they departed, Yunji turned to Jiho. That was a clear threat, and not an empty one, agreed. Jiho, contact Earth, tell them to be ready. The Confederation delegation's ships left lunar orbit but didn't leave the solar system. Instead, they took position just beyond the range of Earth's defense grid. They're waiting for reinforcements, said Strategic Commander Yoon-hee Kim. Watching the tactical display at Earth Space Command, our long-range scanners detect multiple ships entering the system's outer edge. President Kang looked grim.
How long until they're in position?
8 hours, maybe less, replied Yoon-hee. And our allies? The Teller and Vreen ships are en route, but they won't arrive in time. The others are still too afraid to commit. Jiho studied the display. Earth was outnumbered, but not as badly as the Confederation might think. And they had advantages the enemy didn't know about. We don't need to defeat their entire fleet, he said. We just need to show the galaxy that the Confederation isn't invincible. President Kang nodded. Agreed. Prepare for defensive action, but look for opportunities to strike a significant blow. As the Confederation fleet assembled, Earth broadcast a message to all watching worlds. The Galactic Confederation has threatened Earth with attack because we refuse to submit to their rule, announced President Kang. We ask all free peoples of the galaxy to witness what happens when a world stands for independence. On Nexus Station, the High Council watched the developing situation with growing alarm. The human broadcast had been received on countless worlds. Whatever happened next would be seen by all. They've trapped us, realized Elder Zik, speaking to an empty room. If the Confederation attacks and loses, they appear weak. If they attack and destroy Earth, they appear tyrannical. And if they withdraw, they admit defeat. The Confederation fleet began moving toward Earth, nearly 30 ships strong. They formed a battle formation designed to overwhelm the planet's defenses with concentrated firepower. They're targeting our defense platforms first, reported Yoon-hee, watching their approach. Standard Confederation tactic, disable defenses, then demand surrender. Prepare countermeasures, ordered Jiho. But hold until my command. The lead Confederation ships opened fire, their energy weapons lancing toward Earth's orbital platforms. At the last moment, the platform's shields activated, shields based on technology. 3 months after Earth's victory over the Confederation fleet, a new alliance was taking shape. Representatives from 17 former Confederation worlds had gathered on Earth for a historic summit. The meeting took place in a grand hall in Seoul, specially built to accommodate various alien physiologies. Some needed higher oxygen levels, others required lower gravity. Earth had worked hard to make all feel welcome. Admiral Ji-ho Kim stood at the entrance greeting delegates as they arrived. Each species was different from the next, some with multiple limbs, others with unusual skin colors or breathing apparatuses. Yet all shared one thing: they had chosen freedom over submission. President Jin Ho Kang opened the proceedings with a simple speech. Friends from across the stars, welcome to Earth. We gather today not as rulers and subjects, but as equals with a common goal: to build a galaxy where all species can determine their own destiny. The delegates applauded, their various appendages creating a strange symphony of sounds. Among them sat Elder Zix, who had formally broken ties with the Confederation to join Earth's cause. His knowledge of Confederation history and tactics had proven invaluable. The Confederation will not accept this challenge to their power easily, Zix had warned in private meetings. They are already planning their response, and indeed they were. On Nexus Station, the High Council had moved beyond shock to anger and determination. The defection of 17 member worlds was unprecedented. If not stopped, it could lead to the collapse of the entire Confederation. High Chancellor Vex had been removed from power, blamed for the failure to contain the human problem. In his place stood Supreme Commander Tul, now promoted to High Commander. His solution was simple: crush the rebellion with overwhelming force. The humans have inspired this disorder, Tul told the Council. Remove Earth and the Alliance will crumble. But the direct military approach had already failed once. The Confederation needed a new strategy. We have agents on 7 of the defector worlds, reported Alliance Enforcer Quar. They're ready to sabotage key systems when our fleet attacks. Without their defenses, these worlds will quickly surrender. And Earth? Asked a council member. Earth requires special handling, said Quar with a cold smile. We've identified their weakness. Back on Earth, the Alliance Summit was proceeding well. The former Confederation worlds brought valuable knowledge and resources to the table. Some offered advanced medical technology, others provided expertise in sustainable energy. Earth contributed its creativity and determination. We need a name for our alliance, said Sumin Park during a planning session. The Free Worlds Coalition, suggested a delegate from Teller. The Sovereign Stars offered another, the Galactic Union of Independent Nations, said Ji-ho. The name resonated with the delegates, forming the acronym GWIN, which coincidentally sounded like the Korean word for friend. As the summit continued, Earth security forces remained vigilant. The Confederation wouldn't stay quiet forever. Their first warning came from an unexpected source. A Confederation diplomatic vessel requested permission to enter Earth's space, carrying a single passenger, Confederation diplomat Mez. It's a trap, said Defense Minister Do Hyun Bae when he learned of the request. Possibly, agreed Ji-ho. But we should hear what he has to say. Mez was always more moderate than Tul. Under heavy security, Mez was brought to a secured room in Seoul. The silver-skinned diplomat looked tired, his liquid mercury eyes clouded with worry. Admiral Kim, he said when Ji-ho entered, thank you for agreeing to meet. You've taken a risk coming here. Diplomat Mez, said Ji-ho. I assume it's important? I come without official sanction, admitted Mez. The Confederation has changed since you left Nexus Station. Tul now leads the Council, and he plans to destroy your alliance through any means necessary. We expected as much, said Ji-ho. Is that why you're here? To warn us about an attack? Mez leaned forward. Not just any attack. Tul has authorized the use of the Sunbreaker. Ji-ho's expression remained neutral, though inside he felt a chill. I'm not familiar with that weapon. Few are. It's been banned by Confederation law for 8,000 years. It can destabilize a star, causing it to release a massive solar flare toward any planets in the system. They would use this on Earth, asked Jiho, horrified at the thought of such a weapon. Not immediately. First, they will attack your allies, the worlds you've inspired to rebel. The Sunbreaker is being prepared for use on Teller. Once your allies see that the cost of defiance is the destruction of their homeworlds, they will abandon your cause. Why are you telling me this? Maze's silver skin rippled with emotion. Because this is not the Confederation I served for centuries. We were meant to unite worlds, not terrorize them. Tool's path will lead to thousands of years of tyranny. Jiho studied the diplomat carefully. What do you want from us? Sanctuary, said Mez simply. And perhaps a place in your alliance for others who share my view. After Mez provided the technical details of the Sunbreaker and the Confederation's attack plans, Jiho called an emergency meeting of the alliance leadership. We have one advantage, he told the gathered representatives. They don't know that we know their plans. We can prepare an ambush. The Teller delegate, a four-eyed being named Sorrel, looked worried. My people cannot evacuate in time. Our population is too large. You won't have to, promised Jiho. We'll stop the Sunbreaker before it reaches your star. With information from Mez and technical expertise from multiple species, the Alliance devised a plan. Ships from all 17 worlds would gather in the Teller system, but remain hidden using cloaking technology, developed by the Vreen Collective engineer. Ha-Jun Park worked with scientists from 3 different species to develop a countermeasure for the Sunbreaker. The weapon works by creating a quantum resonance disruption. In the star's core, he explained during a briefing, if we can generate an opposing resonance pattern, we can neutralize its effect. While the Alliance prepared its defense, Earth also worked on a more ambitious plan. Communications Officer Minji, Yoon had discovered a way to bypass the Confederation's controlled information networks. Most citizens of Confederation worlds don't know what their leaders are doing, she explained to President Kang. If we can show them the truth, that the Confederation is willing to destroy stars to maintain control, many more worlds might join our cause. It's a gamble, said the President. If we fail to stop the Sunbreaker, we'll appear weak. And if we succeed, said Jiho, we'll show the galaxy that the Confederation can be beaten twice. No tyranny can survive that kind of revelation. 1 week later, the Confederation fleet entered the Teller system. It was a massive force and over 50 warships escorting a strange vessel unlike any other. The Sunbreaker was long and slender, with a crystalline structure at its front that glowed with ominous energy. All ships maintain cloak, ordered Jiho from the ESS Horizon, which now served as the Alliance's flagship. Wait for my signal. The Confederation fleet moved into position around Teller's star, seemingly unaware of the trap they were entering. The Sunbreaker vessel extended long, spindly appendages toward the star, preparing to fire its deadly weapon. Now, commanded Jiho. All around the Confederation fleet, ships appeared as if from nowhere. Alliance vessels from 17 worlds united in defense of Teller. They moved in perfect coordination, targeting the support ships protecting the Sunbreaker. On the Confederation command ship, High Commander Toll roared in rage. How did they know? Who betrayed us? The battle was fierce but focused. The Alliance ships didn't try to defeat the entire Confederation fleet. They had one target, the Sunbreaker. Ha-Jun's team had developed specialized torpedoes designed to disrupt the weapon's quantum field. Captain Taewon Lee led a squadron of small, fast ships on the attack run. We need to hit the main emitter at the exact moment it powers up, Taewon told his pilots. Otherwise, the shields will be too strong. The squadron dove toward the Sunbreaker, evading enemy fire with maneuvers that seemed to defy physics. The Confederation gunners, trained to fight in traditional patterns, couldn't adjust to the humans' unpredictable movements. Meanwhile, Engineer Ha-Jun monitored the Sunbreaker's energy signature from the ESS Horizon. It's powering up, he reported. 30 seconds to firing. Sequence. Get those torpedoes in position, ordered. Jiho Taewon's squadron reached firing range just as the Sunbreaker's crystalline emitter began to glow with blinding light. Fire torpedoes! The specially designed weapons streaked toward the Sunbreaker, each piloted by advanced AI systems that adjusted their course in microseconds to avoid defensive fire. 3 torpedoes hit the emitter just as it began its firing sequence. The quantum disruption field they generated collided with the weapon's building energy for a moment. Nothing seemed to happen. Then the Sunbreaker's emitter began to crack, lines of blinding light spreading across its crystalline surface. "All ships, retreat to safe distance," commanded Jiho. Now, Alliance vessels pulled away as the Sunbreaker's containment field collapsed. The weapon imploded in a spectacular flash of energy, taking 2 nearby Confederation ships with it. On the Alliance comm channel, cheers erupted in a dozen different languages. The Teller Sun remained stable. The planet was safe, but Jiho knew their victory wasn't complete yet. Minji broadcast the transmission. "All channels,